everyone. I am like only 3 minutes late, so I'm pretty much on time. Also, I'm like super sick, so let me know if you can hear me. And if not, I'll try like yell, but it's fine. Outside is dirty. That's why I'm sick. I went outside and yeah, that was a bad life decision. So now I'm like completely over it. So let me know if you can hear me. I am drinking water in my wine tumbler. All right. So I'm going to assume you can hear me because like usually it takes like a second. Today I had a few lawsuits I wanted to go through, but to be honest, since I'm sick, my brain is not really on. So I figured instead we would talk about something that, consciously, subconsciously is always on my nerve, which is corporate. High type effectiveness. Okay, good. Glad you guys can hear me. Also, I finally got a, what's the thing called? An AC. So it's not hot in here. The new setup is 80% done, as in I'm just going to put some plants, where is it, on this side. But yeah, so it'll kind of look like how the old one used to look, which is nice. All right, so let's hop into it. Okay, cool. And then as usual, I keep forgetting to like say this, but the lives are every Thursday at 7 p.m. EST. Yes. I see Brittany is making some strides, so we have some updates to do on that. I'm gonna do like probably just an update episode with all the updates as well. So yeah, lives are always gonna be at 7, and then if we're not doing a live, I'll tell you the week before, which is why I was like, oh, I kind of feel sick, but like it's fine, like whatever, I'm in the house. So yeah. So today we are gonna talk about everybody hating work, because I think it's very interesting. So we're going to talk about the Great Resignation, and then the hi Brianna, I don't dream of labor trend. We're going to talk about class solidarity and how corporate is just a toxic place, which I have told y'all a million times. So I find it very interesting. First and foremost, do y'all see this picture of the BK of the Burger King? Yes, the good employees of the Burger King all quit simultaneously. This specific Burger King, I forgot where it was in the US, about 9 people. They all said, hey, Tiffany, that they were over it and they just quit. And they painstakingly wrote it out on the marquee, which I find hilarious. Like, if you're going to do it big. So we are going to start with that. Awesome. So if you haven't seen the news in the US and in the UK as well, everybody is vocally complaining about their jobs. Hi, Financial Baby says, I know I'm on time too. Like, we're all on time. Like, look at this. And we have what is being coined as the Great Resignation. So in April, according to a few statistics, 4 million people in the US were like, all right, there are better things out there. I'm over it. Like, we survived a panorama. I'm not doing labor for y'all anymore, and said goodbye. According to the statistic, which I have down there, I believe it's about 33% of UK employees are also stating that they want to quit. And there are statistics as high as 60% of employees are threatening to quit, particularly if their employer makes them go back into the office, which I have specific feelings about that because, child, my employer decided to give me some news today that I'm not happy about. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So yeah, so everyone is quitting, and everyone, yes, I'm seeing. So I was going to title that, like, should I quit my 6-figure job? But child, I wasn't going to fully clickbait y'all. We going to get there. One of these days, I'm going to have my own video on that. But yeah, a lot of people are just quitting their 6-figure jobs, which is showing people that it's not really about the money. It's about the quality of life. The money is irrelevant if all you do all day is work and you can't spend the money. But, we're going to get into that. Hi, Dan. I'm glad it's the first time I'm sorry you're catching it when I'm sick and under the weather, but hopefully it's still lively. I put some gifts in here. But yes, so everyone is quitting. And I think it's interesting, before we get into the I don't dream of labor, which people have, what I've found on YouTube, very interesting opinions of that trend. Let's talk about the Great Resignation. So first of all, corporate is a miserable place. Nobody's going to sit there and say corporate is wonderful, it's full of roses. It's not. I've been at work, like, I look alive now, but if you go on my Instagram, where I just don't care and I have no makeup on, I don't really look great. And I have been at work looking crazy all week, and no one said, hey, Stephanie, you look like you're, sickly. You want to log off? You want to take a sick day? No, child. No. That's not how corporate works. And I think people are fed up because people are realizing, when you work from home, you work more hours, first and foremost. It doesn't turn off. People will ping you all times of the night, the morning, because they know that you are doing nothing. And people have gotten fed up and say, well, I don't need this. I don't need this in my life. And people are quitting, which I find very interesting. That's one of the reasons why they're leaving. The second thing is, it's not just corporate workers. As shown with all of the employees of that Burger King, the 9 of them quitting, there were a lot of fast food workers that were made essentially essential. They deemed them to be essential workers, told them like, hey, you have to work, didn't up their benefits, didn't give them anything else, didn't up their pay. And they were just like, well, I'm essential, but you're not paying me the essential care. Like, what is the purpose of this? So restaurants now are complaining that they are having a labor shortage because they are not willing to pay people more money, which is like very, very interesting. So to type effectiveness point, everyone is an asset to capitalism, which is the issue, which is completely the issue. Capitalism runs on bodies, on cheap labor. Capitalism used to run on slavery. And yes, in some parts of the world, there is still modern day slavery. In the US, it is illegal. Capitalism runs on cheap labor. All of the gig economy, and my brain is slow today, so if you notice, all of the gig economy is low-key like, I'm gonna pay you these poverty wages, but be grateful. Capitalism runs on be grateful that you're employed, be grateful you have a job. And people have decided to say, well, F grateful, I need some money, honey. Hi, Natalia. Thank you, Kiki. Come on. Living things are put on earth to thrive, not labor or slave, and life is too short. Life is too short. And people are realizing that. Either you look at life is too short, live your best life, or I like to look at life is long. So if you do the same dumb things every day, in and out, that you hate, next thing you know, by the grace of whoever you believe in, you hit 90 years old and you're like, dang, I wasted my one go around doing crap for other people that I didn't want to do. So people are completely tired of it in all classes, in the alleged what's left of the middle class in America, because most people in America have no concept of whether or not they're in the middle class, even though they claim to be in the middle class. In the lower class, in the working class, everybody is fed up. So we are going to go through quickly one of the reasons. Oh, I didn't even put my earrings in. I can't laugh because if I laugh, I'm going to cough. So hold on. We are going to go through, so certain companies, and I've had friends, like other attorneys that are like, I've hated this job for 3 years and they've quit. And I'm like, good for you. I've been telling you to quit years ago. Particularly people are quitting jobs that are now saying, hey, you need to go back to this raggedy office. And I'm not going to give you any money to get into this raggedy office, but you need to go over there. My job is one of those, which I find comical. How are you going to tell people that have been fully functioning in their home for what, a year and a half now, typing away, getting the work done, doing the reports. Hey, actually, I need you to be in this physical office so I can look at you doing this. But why? Isn't that a waste of your electricity? Like, y'all have raised my electricity all these months. Shouldn't you be grateful I'm saving you money? So yes, let me go into these comments really quick. So DD Benjamin, Amazon workers are worked to death and underpaid, and Jeff is going to the moon for funsies. Jeff and Sir Richard Branson, like, is it a disease? Is it a sickness that they think playing around, playing man on the moon? They could literally single-handedly, the two of them, end world hunger if they chose to. But they rather go to the moon, child, because they're bored. They're bored of the earth that they ruined because Amazon and all the damn packages that we all buy because it's cheaper and they undercut the price are ruining Mother Earth. But hey, we're still here. All right. Hey, S. Davis. People are wising up and America wasn't prepared for it. They had this mentality that we would stick around forever and slave away. They thought wrong. It's really the hubris, which I find, like, as an attorney, generally speaking, I can push back a little bit, like with the employers that I have. I don't push back all the way because, hello, I'm still a Black woman. It is what it is. But I push back sometimes, and my pushback was, why should we go back to the office when we've all been doing the work? What is the reason? Cardi B voice, like, tell me the point. And the point was, we need to build a corporate culture. What? Boo-boo, if y'all haven't figured that out how to do online, like, you're not going to figure it out by forcing people to go into an office and make them miserable to then think a corporate. You're going to have a culture of people being like, what the hell are we all in here looking at each other? Also, again, I went outside twice. Okay, I've been outside twice this month. Had some fun. And what am I now? Sick. I'm not going to office full of dusty people to be sick. To be sick? This is miserable. Sniffs. Like, what? Why? Why would we do this? Okay. Oh, don't worry. We just started. Child, I'm not that timely. We started 5 minutes ago. Okay. So this is my theory on why the Biden administration is super dope to allow the dreamers of pathway to citizenship to get that cheap. Child, they still haven't done a proper pathway to citizenship, but we can talk about that because I have a few friends that are dreamers and it's completely disgusting how they treat people. So Brianna has a good point. So if people don't go to the offices, then it affects commercial real estate investments for people in a certain tax bracket. So I'm glad you brought this up. So as an attorney, I have worked on different matters. So I work in tech. You guys know this, for a startup. So I do usually tech transactions, and then also ad hoc. Sometimes I do employment law, IP law, sometimes real estate law. So I am close colleague with this lovely broker, and she sends me emails maybe once a week about her business. And it's very interesting. She sent one last week, and it said that in New York City specifically, commercial real estate capacity is only at 20%. So everybody in real estate is panicking, but it's not just real estate. Without the corporate cogs in the offices throughout Midtown, FiDi, Soho is doing okay, but I walked through Soho. Shayna was here last week. If y'all saw my Instagram, I walked through Soho, and Soho has a lot of closed down buildings. None of the small businesses thrive either, because who was going to sell us $20 salad if we're not in the office? So all of them are out of business. So it's basically, she had an article where it said, New York doesn't have factories. New York has office buildings. They make money off of corporate Negroes and corporate cogs. Without us being there, well, it doesn't run. And my rebuttal to that is, maybe it shouldn't run that way. Maybe you need to redesign all this office space, because what is the point? What is really the point? 20%, child. If y'all come to New York right now and go through downtown, it is a weird place. There are people walking around now, but you see every other building closed if you walk through Soho. All those small shops are gone. Also, $20 salad, if you ever go to Chopped, it's not even that good. You could go to the bodega and get the $10 salad. Just food for thought in case you're in New York for some reason. Just so you know. The minute I learned the bodega salad was the same. Also, bring your lunch, actually, besides that, if they're forcing you into the office. But yes. Okay, so let me go through this. All right, Blue Magic. Not just workers not wanting to work. I work at a call center, and they used to call us back for a few weeks at a time to handle specific events, then lay us off again for 2 to 3 weeks later when it slows down. Exactly. So it's not that people are like, oh, I don't want to work, which we're going to get to the I don't dream of labor part in a second. It's that these corporations are low-key scamming the game. They know, all right, cool, I'm going to hire you as a temp, because if you're a temp, I'm going to have to give you benefits. I've been a contract worker before. You don't have to give them any benefits. You don't have to give them anything. So I'll just rehire you instead of making you a salaried employee. Oh, sorry. So I was exempt or non-exempt, whichever one. And then having to give the benefits, having to say oh yeah, you actually get sick days. If you are a contract worker, they don't have to give you any paid sick days, which is wild. All right, Natalia. Okay, my friend has been amazing during the whole thing, thankfully. They're also being considerate to my colleagues that move further away from the office and not requiring them to go to the office. Your firm is smart. Also, I've seen from Instagram, certain people I follow, and then on LinkedIn, which LinkedIn is basically corporate Facebook these days. Child, LinkedIn is a messy place. One day, we're just going to do a video on LinkedIn. I'm just going to pull up the things people say, because I'm just surprised. But I've seen on LinkedIn a few of the corporate, the smart corporations are doing full panorama, just so the algorithm doesn't get me, child. Panorama weeks off, where they're giving entire corporate shutdowns. So I have a friend that works at Nike corporate, and they're doing a week off. I know people that work at Crunchbase, they did a week off, because the idea is, it's not just that a lot of these tech companies, I work at one that does this as well, can have unlimited PTO. Unlimited PTO is a scam, because unlimited PTO implies I have all this time, right? I could take off as much time as I want, but it doesn't work because other people don't take the time. So then you're sitting there well, I don't want to take time off because then I'll be swamped and so-and-so will be swamped, and then you feel bad. So by doing a forced corporate shutdown, everybody is off. Nobody can email anybody, which is much better. I highly recommend the companies that actually do real PTO 20 plus days, so much better because then you count them, you take your days off, people respect your PTO. People do not respect unlimited PTO. Someone sent me an email today on Thursday. Oh, thank you for getting this back to me. I'll work on it over the weekend. I didn't even know what to say because I wanted to be like, but why? But today is Thursday. If it doesn't get done tomorrow, like who's gonna die? Like, don't work on it. That's what I wanted to tell them. Like, don't, you could just not. You could just live your life. But that's like, people just are trained that way, which is sad. It's really sad. All right. Here go Chelsea. Midtown is dead. Child, where did you go? I was looking at it and then I clicked off. Yes. Big up to Haiti. I hope you guys are looking into that as well. We were talking about that on Patreon. In Patreon we have like a Discord chat, so if you want to sign up for that. Child, I had never seen Midtown, New York, so empty in my life. Like, it's very creepy. And the people that are there are tourists, so they're just kind of like, all right, cool. What's going on? Okay, cool. Hey, David. Financial baby steps. I waited too long to look for a fully remote job, and now I'm back to the dusty office, literally full of dust. Child, file a complaint. Like, you can file a complaint where all these people that quit going and why won't they come back to get me? Where are all these people? Sorry, where are all these people that quit going and why won't they come back to get me? Child, there are places hiring fully remote. The smart places hiring fully remote. Nakima said same in LA. I heard LA is down bad too. All right. Okay. Oh, come on, Tashana. Listen, Tashana is freeing herself. I literally wrote up my 2 notice today. I'm not even a corporate cosmetology educator. Yes, it's a mess. LOL. Love my students, but pay sucks. Tuition is $20K plus a student though. Listen, you it's not worth it. Like, if it's eating up all your time and the pay is not good, like, what is the reason? Like, what is the reason? Channel your inner from the beginning Burger King worker and put it on a marquee. Like, bye. Like, what is the reason? What is the reason? All right. Yes, please take your lunch hour. I always tell people, take your time off, take your job, take all of it. All right, let's read this one. I'm going to keep going. My job gives 20 plus days PTO, but you never get approved for the time off, and the time does not roll over to the next year. What? That's why I got FMLA and called out on them all at once. Smart. Listen, if your job is dusty, back to who said that their job is literally dusty, you can file a complaint about that and say you need an accommodation from the dust, that you're allergic. Listen, do it. Also, it's awful, like, the fact that things have to get approved. Like, if I'm telling you 2 months in advance, a month in advance, like, hey, I'm going on vacation, what is the reason for someone else to say no? Like, you know what, I foresee that I cannot cover that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have ample time to fix yourself to cover my week off. Stop the nonsense. All right. Okay. Yes, people still have PTO approval, which is weird. I still, like, unlimited time with unlimited PTO, we still have approval too. So, like, you have to tell them, and it's like a weird thing. Like, hey, I would like to take this day off. And like, I do mine way in advance. So it's kind of like, if you say no, I'm going to be like, I'm confused as to what is the reason. I'm not familiar, KRT, with the caste system, so I'd have to, like, implement that. I'd have to look at that, child. Y'all gonna deal with me and my sick self today. Okay. All right. So let's get to that. Oh, this is a good point too, because I've heard about this. So this is the last point, then we'll get to the I don't dream of labor. US salaries are mad, working super hard in the UK in data tech and making half that in the US. Half than in the US. So the salaries in the US, I will say certain industries are on par. Cost of living in the US is also wild. But yeah, it is crazy. And a lot of tech companies have outsourced their labor to, like, the UK to, I believe it's like Northern Ireland. It's like a huge tech hub now because they know the labor is cheaper, which is crazy. Like, people need to pay according to where you live, like a living wage. All right. Okay. And then Brianna, what is hilarious to me right now is I'm about to get an in-office job and I run a commercial cleaning business. We dust. Y'all need to help that man. His office is dirty. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. So yeah, be like this panda child. Like some days I'm like, to be honest, I'm gonna be very honest. When they said we have to go back in September, my first thought was like, is this what you want? You want panda rage? Like at least now when I microaggress, like I'm in my house, you know? I'll take a little walk. Like it's fine. Like you want all these angry people to with no social skills. Like everyone's social skills now is to shit. To go back into an office, like, okay, let's see how this goes. It ain't going to go well. All right. So instead of being like Mr. Cat here in the corner, I clicked on one I Don't Dream of Labor video, and child, then they all popped up because you know how the algorithm is. The algorithm said, oh, you're quitting your job? Everything is coming up. I never told the algorithm that. I never said that. I was just curious. So the girls of YouTube and of Instagram, I believe Elsa started it first, which Elsa is my freaking favorite. She does like these funny, like little videos. Thank you, Akila. I appreciate you. Oh, and I'm so awful. Like the past 3 weeks, I've completely forgotten the champagne bottle to write everyone's name. Ciao. I just moved, so it's another room, but I will write on there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So Elsa is wonderful. If you don't follow Elsa Majimbo, I think it's her last name. She does like these funny skits while she's like eating chips, and she's like, listen, work, negative. I'm not doing it, never seen it, never heard of it, not for me. So she did one where she was like, I don't dream of labor, which I think she was the trendsetter that sparked everyone else. No one is crediting Elsa, but I'm pretty sure it was Elsa. It's the first one I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, Jace. And, oh, sorry. All of a sudden, so I clicked on one, and then they all started popping up of people being like, I don't dream of labor. Capitalism is awful. Capitalism is awful. Work is awful. But it was more so what I took from all the I Don't Dream of labor videos. Hey, CC Funk, was people saying not, hey, I don't want to work, but hey, I have my one life and I'm not giving it. One of them used to work at Amazon corporate, which I have people that work at Amazon corporate and they're child, that's a wild life. And said like, why would I give my life to this company? This is crap. So that's what I took from the videos. Not like, oh, I'm just going to frolic and money's going to come to me. Like, I mean, these people live in reality from what I took. I didn't watch all of them, but I watched enough of them, which that made sense. You have like, why continue to do something over and over and over? I think the phrase came from TikTok. It's from like, is it from Eartha Kitt? The original phrase, I don't dream of labor. I can't remember. Hey, James. I think from Eartha Kitt. And then maybe on TikTok, they started like, you know, they do the little voice thing. Y'all know I don't know how to use all the social medias. So yeah. So then it came to YouTube. So YouTube obviously is longer format. So people were giving their corporate stories of like, listen, this is crap. Like, why would I sit here all day and be like Mr. Black Cat? For what? For things that literally don't matter. There's a video, I need to find it and I'll put it in the description, that is hysterical of this video. This woman being like, all of these corporate jobs are meaningless. Do you realize that this has nothing to do with anything? And it's so funny because I talk to Shayna about this sometimes and I'm like, yo, like, I know that, but it's also like, close your ears because this is what you do all day. So are you going to tell me that me being a corporate paper pusher attorney negotiating deals for things that have no actual tangible meaning in real life is pointless? What? But yes, really, I do agree. It's foolishness. It's utter foolishness. So big up to these people that said, you know what? That's not my purpose in life. So what I found interesting though, so a bunch of people did the I don't dream of labor. My job is meaningless. I want to do something meaningful with my life. That's what I took from most of the videos I watched. There was another side of it, people being like, this I don't dream of labor trend is toxic privilege on display, laziness, which I thought was very interesting. So the other side of it was a lot of people saying, well, you don't dream of labor because you have the privilege to want to do something else with yourself, which is interesting, which is true. But I think it forgot one large fact was, don't nobody dream of labor, boo. Nobody, not the corporate worker, not the garbage man, not my dad who's a truck driver. Don't nobody dream of labor, because back to the point someone made that I pinned forever ago, people are not put on this work to do menial task labor all day, every day for the rest of their life till they're 65. And then God willing, they get 3 years to frolic before they croak. That is not why people were put on the earth. But you know, we have all been born into capitalism. If you live in the US, if you live in the UK, if you live in Europe, some countries, depending on where you are right now, you might be into communism. You might be in there. But if you live in most places that we're talking about on here, you're born into capitalism. So regardless of whether or not you dream of labor, their caption, I don't know if I included it, it's their title was, I don't dream of you don't dream of labor, but labor dreams of you. And I was like, yes, a witty woman. I'll look that back up and put it in the description box so you guys can watch. I didn't watch her video yet, but from the title alone, I know she has good sense. Whether or not you dream of labor, you have to do it. And by have to, more so, we are in this capitalistic system. So like, you want to eat, like this, how this works. Back to the conversation we had about the billionaires legally scamming our tax system. We could all opt out of this, but we don't have class solidarity. We don't have people saying, hey, actually, this doesn't work for the working class. Because remember, the fast food workers are quitting too. This doesn't work for the cosmetologists. This doesn't work for the corporate Negroes. This doesn't work for the corporate cogs. This only works for a few people, which is the 1% who, let me tell you, let's be honest again, they do not work. Jeff Bezos is going to the moon. Work. Where? That man is frolicking. But there are people that will sit there and defend him tooth and nail and say, Jeff Bezos deserves to make X amount of thousands of dollars a minute. He works hard. Fool, stop deluding yourself in your mama's basement. That is not why Jeff Bezos is there. That is not the truth. That is not how this works. Jeff Bezos is there because Jeff Bezos has capitalized on cheap labor. If you are a billionaire, a certain stature, you have gotten there from cheap labor. This is what it is. Hello, a smart woman. I save 40% of my check so I can leave the workforce early. And that is what I got from the I don't dream of labor people, was like, okay, I hate this, don't want to do this, but you know what? I'm going to save my money, which of course, I say this all the time. If, as Joanne said, a liar, a scammer, a fraud. And there is a certain level to the people who had the backlash to I don't dream of labor with the privilege allows you to save the money. Of course it does. The privilege allows me to put 70% of my paycheck towards my student loans. The system of capitalism should have never charged me $250,000 for a law degree. No, it shouldn't have. With literally, I redid the math, and we'll go over it during the student loan video. The minimum amount of interest I'm going to pay for my law degree is $75,000 of money I did not borrow. That has nothing to do with privilege. That has to do with the capitalistic system screwing me into thinking like, all right, come on, hamster, you work hard enough, you could pay it off. That's foolishness. That's disgusting. That's nonsense. That is utter nonsense. So I think in terms of I don't dream of labor, I personally think it's great. I think everyone should admit, don't nobody dream of labor. And that doesn't mean you're not productive. That doesn't mean that you don't want to contribute to society. That doesn't mean that you can't go out and help cure people. But let's keep it a buck. A lot of these jobs are irrelevant. When the pandemic happened, who mattered? Not the basketball players, not me, the corporate lawyer, not the estheticians. Who mattered? The people that give you food, the people that make food, the people that make sure you have a house over your head. That's who matters. So if you the teachers for the children, the teachers of course matter, and the way they do these teachers is trifling. Okay, that's it. So I think we have to really right size, like, what does work mean? Like, what should work mean? Like, why do people have such a negative reaction when other people say, I don't like this type of work, I want to do something fun? Because people seem very upset by that notion, which I think is really interesting. So Kat is saying, I don't think work is a problem. It is a slave wages and slave hours. People deserve a living wage, healthcare, and basic level of respect. Exactly. Which we're going to get into class solidarity around that. All right. And then to Natalia, the 40-hour work week should die. I think people really think 40-hour work week is great because as society, which I need to look up the labor laws on this, but Kelly Bloodhoney was talking about this once. As society, we have gone from, okay, hunter-gatherer, we work like 10 hours a week or like 20 hours a week because you have to plant things. You know, you can only like till the soil so long and then relax yourself to, oh, we have factories. Y'all are going to work crazy hours. Your fingers are going to fall off. Everything is awful. Okay, we need a labor movement to stop exploiting children. Everyone else, thank you, Bo. And then now we swung to, okay, now we have made like corporate bureaucracy where some of your jobs really don't make no sense. Like Shayna and I were talking about this, like there are certain jobs like project managers, which is what like she does, which you tell other people what to do and how to make everyone communicate together. And so like, she was like, they don't know how to just talk to each other, which is very interesting, which keeps me in a job, but also like, what? Are y'all not? Okay, cool. All right, so Bo Greenwood said, it'd be the irrelevant jobs that people had up, not the teachers, nurses, and mental health workers. Exactly. So, and this is the point. People get jealous of others who have the guts to try to live life on their own terms. And that's what it is. We all, and not we all, but if you live in the US, in most of Europe, in certain places, you live in a capitalistic society. And capitalism only works if the majority of people do what they're told and do the labor. So the bourgeoisie, the people on the top can live good. So they can go to Turks and Caicos, so they can go live their neo-colonial lifestyle, so they can go to the mother effing moon. That's the only way it works. So when people opt out of it, people feel away. They say, no. Capitalism told me I need this house in the burbs. I need this Rolex. I need this thing. I have made it. I'm the American dream. And now I have credit card bills up the wazoo. I have the student loan debt, but honey, I have arrived. So don't you tell me that you could actually live with less and be happy. I don't want to see it. That's how people see. That's how people feel. I would love to do Monday through Thursday. I think Monday through Thursday is freaking great. Because really, like, come on. On Friday, everyone's just like watching the clock. Like, is it done? Are we done? Are we there? We're tired of it. All right. So let's go to the main people. We're going to talk about this and then get to class solidarity. The main people that say pull yourself up by the bootstraps are wearing penny loafers. And not cute ones either. The main people. All right. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Also, I found this like funny reel, so I wanted to play this really quick. Hold on.
I just don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience for me, and I don't like any of you.
So there's two types of people basically now. It's people like that are straight up quitting, and then everyone else, I think the majority of other people are just like, well, I'm gonna fantasize about it and I'm gonna say it out loud, which is super interesting to me, and joke about it. And I think eventually like these same people will quit. And it's also very generational. And I think what a lot of people had a negative reaction to I Don't Dream of Labor was mostly like millennials I saw, but a lot of Gen Zs. So a lot of people are like, you don't dream of labor. You just started. How can you not dream of this? How dare you not buy into the system I put 10 years in? And it's like, well, wouldn't that make that person smarter? As in, they realize like, oh, this is raggedy. This is giving trailer park. I don't want it. I want out of this. Wouldn't that be better for them? Listen. All right. So let's go to the next one. He sure didn't. Listen. That's why I'm like, part of me is like, go to the office to be aggressed in person. We're good. Like, let's do this at home. All right. So about class solidarity, which I feel like that's missing from this conversation. So I think this is like everyone's left, is me, my dad. Way back in the day. My dad is a truck driver, as I've told y'all. Surprisingly, which I, hate to break it to you, love to like shine a light. Truck drivers work hard manual labor, but also they get paid like a decent penny. People always turn their nose up. And I'm like, hey, they not broke. But the class idea of it is that truck drivers are blue collar workers, which is true. They do work manual labor, and that truck drivers are living like a certain life. So there's me, my dad, and then there's me when I graduated Brooklyn Law School. Yes, I'm very round there. I've lost a lot of weight. When I became my dad's wildest dream, which was a corporate Negro. All my life, all my dad ever told me was manual labor is awful. I don't ever want you to do manual labor. I want you to work in an office. I didn't even know what an office was. I was like, office? Like, I never seen it. Like, my dad drives trucks. Like, I spent like my whole life in the back of a truck bed hiding around, pulling on the horn when I'm not supposed to, getting picked up at school in like a truck. It was like my favorite thing. So I'm like, an office? Like, what do people do in an office? Like, I don't know, the truck doesn't seem so bad. And he's like, truck is awful. It's a lot of hours. My dad works like 12-hour days. Like, it is a lot of work. I'm the oldest of 7. I got a lot of siblings. And so to me, what a lot of, I would say not just immigrants, but a lot of working class people, their dream is, I want my kid to be in corporate. I want my kid to go work in corporate, to go have a better life. Because what does America tell you? Oh, you go work in corporate, you watch Sex and the City. Did any of them actually work? I mean, Miranda worked. The rest of them did like odd stuff. If you watch Living Single, okay. Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, like, okay, cool. They're working not, they're in the corner office. Regine was the main. What was Queen Latifah's character? She had her own magazine. You see her office all the time. It's this idea of like, I'm in the office. I'm doing well. I'm doing everything. It's an American dream. The dream is I'm in this office all day, every day, me in this office. Until you get there and you're like, ooh, what the hell? And am I in a cubicle farm for 40 at least minimum? Child, let's keep it a buck. 60 hours a week if you're in New York. For what? For what? Like, the most miserable experience I ever had in my life was when I had first graduated law school and I had made it, y'all. I used to work in the Chrysler building. I was like, oh, I have arrived. I work in the Chrysler building. This is a landmark building. Chelsea knows she's Khadijah. There we go. Khadijah was Queen Latifah. Regine was the bougie one. Yep. Chelsea and I used to work there in the Chrysler. Whoa, we had made it. I was like, oh, you wear your suit. Like, why do we have to wear suits? So dumb. But anyways, you wear your suit. You look nice. They give you bagels. You're there. Until I started to realize, because in New York, the sun sets earlier in the winter. So I'm like, wait. I came here. It was dark outside. I'm leaving here. It's dark outside. I have not left this building all day. What kind of life is that? And it created a very weird, and then Kendra said she ended up in therapy because she was burned out too, living single's life. Exactly. So sorry, my nose running. Woo! Exactly. And I think that's what people are not talking about, is that this burnout is actually fueling I don't dream of labor in the Great Resignation. It's not that people are lazy. It's not that people are like, oh, I'm too good for that. I don't want to do it. People are burned out. It is not normal to sit at a electronic device all day and just be like this. It's bad for your eyes. It gives you headaches. It's just bad for you in general. It's bad for your posture. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us that have worked from home this whole time probably need a back alignment. It's all awful. So what I have always like had a personal problem with was, well, how do I tell my dad, who works manual labor, a hard job, 12 hours a day, staying awake, driving this giant oil rig. My dad does like gas delivery. Hey, that dream you told me I need to do, I don't really like it. Like, I don't know if they really told you the fine print, but it's not great. Like, you sure manual labor is that bad? Like, can we switch for a day? Like, I'm just, not to be rude, I'm just curious. And it's just like been an interesting thing, to the point where the pandemic was the first time we had a real conversation about it, because I would never complain to my dad about work. I was like, that's pretentious. That's classist and elitist. It's giving Joan Carroll Clayton to tell my working class dad, hey, I don't like this. People treat me bad. Like, particularly like as a Black corporate Negro, it was very jarring for my dad to hear like, oh yeah, so-and-so assaulted me at work, or so-and-so said this to me at work. Like, what? So-and-so looked me dead in my face and told me I don't look like an attorney. Because that's not the dream that they tell people. That's not the lie that they tell people. They tell people, you work hard, you go to school, you're the smartest, you're the best, you're the this, you're the that. Go to corporate, everything is great in corporate. Corporate has free bagels. Corporate gives you free coffee. Corporate is a sham and a scam. Okay, Sir Dave. Media sells you this inflated dream that's just an illusion. That same dream is the one I was sold about college and movies, and I got there and hated it. It's not for everybody. And I think that's what they need to start telling people, because I'm sure there are some people, I won't discount it, that are like, listen, their dream is to work in corporate, or their dream is to do manual. There are some people that is their dream. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people being coerced into labor that they do not like. One is not necessarily better than the other. The glorification of corporate work, I always find very interesting, because people think it's easier. You're sitting on your butt. You don't have to use your body. You're using your brain. Your brain is not meant to focus on something that many hours a day, particularly rudimentary foolishness that makes no difference. Like, once you realize, like, is anybody going to die if I don't do this? No. Is anybody going to really be helped if I do this? No. Why are we doing this? I don't know. It will eat away at you because it was so silly. All right, Sinquetta. I used to think being an engineer was so cool and prestigious. Now I'm like, blah, LOL. And a lot of people feel that way. And a lot of people, when they voice those opinions, other people start yelling at them, which I've seen like in the other downside to I don't dream labor. Don't be ungrateful for your privilege. Okay, it's not ungrateful to admit that you're not happy. It's just a reality. It's just a reality. And it was interesting when I finally had that talk with my dad, and was like, because I felt bad. Like, it was so much guilt. I was like, I would never tell this man this. I used to complain to my aunt. I would never, like, I feel like that would be like spitting in his face to say, like, hey, you sacrificed so much for me to get here, and it ain't it. I don't like it. When I finally told him during the pandemic, he was so understanding and was like, oh, which I meant to put it in here. I forgot. He was so understanding and was like, oh, but you seem to like other things. Like, you could try other stuff. And I was like, that's an option. Oh, I thought it was lawyer or bust to you, like lawyer or bust. Like, oh, if that's not what I do, like, you wouldn't be proud of me. And I think that's, even if it's not a parental figure, I think society puts that on people. Like, it's this or failure, this or failure. So people don't opt out of it because they don't want their neighbor that they don't even say hi to, or their grandma who calls them once a week, or like their good friend to think like they're a bum. And you're not a bum for like prioritizing yourself and saying like, hey, I don't like this. It's my life. It's my money. I don't care if I make less. Because the thread of I don't dream of labor, what I found interesting, most of the people in the videos were willing to make less money. They did not care. They were like, okay, cool. Like, this job is awful. If I make more money doing something else, great. If I make less, that's fine. I did my budget, and like, I really only survive off of $2,000. So again, what is the reason? Which I think is interesting. All right, so let me read some of these comments. Dan Chow, we just off the cotton fields. We have given y'all the free labor you're going to get. Yes. For the Black Americans, this is true. And then for the Caribbean ones, honey, we're 2 steps removed from the sugarcane field. Like, boo-boo, you good. Elizabeth has got enough money from being my family. Like, I'm tired. All right. So Thrift Remix, also burned out from the mental gymnastics you have to do every day in corporate as a Black woman. And yes, let's speak about this. Corporate is awful for everybody. Corporate is exponentially awful for Black people. Corporate is exponentially more awful, the worst awful for Black women. The worst. For multiple reasons. Studies have already shown this. Black women are, the misogynoir in corporate is wild. It's wild. It's unspoken. You're always the only, if there are only a few of you, and there's no one else to complain to. If you complain, you're being aggressive. But if you don't complain, and then when you quit, why didn't you say anything? Well, if I said something, then you were going to be mad. So like, what was the purpose of this? The amount of things that people have said to me as a Black woman at work have been wild. I used to, back in the day when I cared and I allowed them to con me into heat damage into my hair, I used to straighten my hair all the time, child. It was bone straight. Until I just was like, I don't see the purpose. So then I started conning them and would straighten my hair for the interview, go into the job, like I'm acceptable, I'm palatable, it's straight. Let a month or two go by and then just show up like this. The comments, Stephanie, what happened to your hair? Well, I had washed it. You just washed your hair? No, fool. You think after 2 months I just washed my hair? I've been straightening it. Well, I just like it the other way. Okay, that's great. I'm glad that you have a preference about what's on my head. Like, I'm confused as to why you care. I like it this way. So it's going to be this way? The rudeness, it's the people not wanting to include you in the social building, which I think that's an aspect, particularly with Black women and in a corporate setting, that is not talked about enough, which is corporate is the mental foolishness of like all day, but also this idea that we're a family. We have team building. That's like the new corporate scam. We have to do everything together. But a lot of these people in corporate have never interacted one-on-one with a Black person, much less a Black woman. At least a Black man, they're like, oh, well, you know, I have these positive examples I see on TV. Like, I'm looking at athletes, I'm looking at this. Like, I'm probably going to say something rude and offensive to him, but like, I think he's kind of cool. A Black woman, child, the things that the media has a Black woman on TV, they don't know what to do. Often, Black women are left out of being invited to like the kumbaya family gathering. So then it's, oh, why aren't you being sociable? Why aren't you talking to the people? Y'all a bunch of drunks. I don't want to go out with you every night. It's a weeknight. Having to learn at 26 years old that it was required of me to go out with my coworkers and spend my money multiple times a week, or I was unsociable or I was being rude, was a very weird thing to learn. It was very strange. Like, don't y'all have other things to do? Don't y'all have friends? Studies have come out now about, in terms of racial demographics, who wants to go to the office versus who doesn't. Black millennials, the majority do not want to go to the office. We rather be aggressed at home. I really feel that way. Like, if you're going to slight me and you're going to act a fool, like, do it while you're in my house. I don't care. Like, I'll close the computer. I don't want to do it while I'm out. And then I have to put my guard back up and be nice and just take it. Just take it that you just tried to run your nasty, dirty fingers through my hair and just, oh, wait, don't do that. No, you're drunk. But don't. Child. All right, let's read some of these comments. I know y'all, we've talked about this. All right. Okay, Sir Dave. The thing is, too, that a lot of people don't understand is that I did exceptionally well in college, Jesus and all, and there's a difference between being great at something and actually loving it. Woo! A message. Okay. I will look at this, Kaylee. Thank you. Not sure if you've discussed the recent Danish studies on reducing the number of hours worked per week. Is Denmark technically in Scandinavia? So Denmark and then the rest of Scandinavia, they're miles ahead of the US, like miles ahead. Sweden, everybody's happy. They got paid parental leave. Child. All right. Code switching is exhausting itself. I had a friend tell me, and it made me so sad, but it was so true, that she was like, oh, she was a Black woman as well, that she doesn't know her regular voices anymore because we're so used to code switching all the time. She was like, I don't know. I just do it all the time. So I don't know like which one is me. And that's such a sad thing. And it's so hard to explain to your non-Black counterparts. It's not something they have to do. All right. Couple that with the I&D initiatives. I'm exhausted. Child, why have I built out whole D&I strategies? I have now become a D&I consultant to actually recoup my money with this extra firm as like a side hustle, because I'm like, well, I've been doing this my whole career because y'all don't pay Black people for these things, and also I will not be aggressive at work. Okay. Type effects is why is she James, we're a family for picture day. Why in all the corporate pictures, there's always Black people strategically placed? Always. It's Black people, someone that is visibly to them Latinx, strategically placed. They always have a few Asian people and then white people. But then when you go and you go to like eat lunch, it doesn't look like that. I'm just curious. I'm just very curious. Listen, if you are a Black person and you're watching this and you can afford it, please get therapy. Child, I have therapy on Thursdays too, because it's rough. Like it's just rough. It doesn't make any sense. Professionalism is ethnic cleansing. It is. I've had friends that have been told that they're too professional, which when they lean into like, okay, well, you want us to like be like this. Oh, well, you're not being approachable. You're not like letting your hair down. When I let my hair down and talk and chat patois to you, you don't understand. So what's the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this? Cindy, I'm not looking forward to code switching when I go back to the office. Listen. Oh, here goes Nikita. I've been told I wasn't approachable. The things that people think are appropriate to say to to Black women's face. It's wild to me. It's just completely wild. Aquila, honestly, I'd be out to Scandinavia if I could get a way to navigate the new racism, a racism GPS, if you will. Hello. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's everywhere, but like, is it as bad as here? That's what I want to know. I'm like, I'm okay trying to just let me know what the norms are. Like, what are the weird things you're going to do? Like in the Netherlands, you're all going to wear blackface during Christmas. Okay, cool. I'm not going to come outside during that time, but the rest of the year, like, how do y'all act? Better than this? Okay, cool. Curious. Just curious. Listen. All right. It comes from everywhere. It's completely disgusting. So yes, I'm glad that we touched on that. And then let me see, did I have anything else? All right, that was it. That was what I wanted to talk about with y'all. I appreciate y'all sticking through with me, my stuffy self. But yeah, I'm not gonna encourage y'all, to quit your job, but I will encourage you. Save up your emergency fund. Save up an effort fund. That's what I'm doing. And that's what I talked about on my student loan video. Like, I was feeling a little lost. You all know I have 6-figure student loans. If you ever donate to this channel or join my Patreon, that's where the money goes. And I realized I've been giving all this money back to this degree to be a corporate Negro, that I didn't have like a fully funded emergency fund. So I decided like, I'm actually going to fund money towards this. So that way, when I'm fed up, I could just leave and exit and not feel away, because society will have you think that quitting your job, like, oh, it's so awful. Not if you have the money. All these people saying I quit my 6-figure job, not most of them, child, I've seen a few reckless people, have strategically been like, I feel like I'm burnt out. Let me save my money. So if you can save your money, save your money. Save your money and try something else, because to be honest, these corporations will go nowhere. As we have seen, they are literally going nowhere. So let me read this from David. My Mexican dad was told he's intimidating because he works so hard. This was their excuse for never voicing their concerns with him directly. But the idea is to work hard. See, exactly. It's never we're never good enough for anything. So I have come to the conclusion that having our own money to exit out of this system is the way, which making that statement comes with a level of privilege, knowing like, okay, I make this amount, I can save this amount, I can do that. But if you can, child, exit out of this. Don't let anybody guilt you into doing it. Don't let anybody guilt you into doing it. Oh, yes. And to check out the FIRE movement. Yes. Which we can do a video on that, because that's like my goal to start that. But I haven't. Part of it is like you have to pay off your debt, and y'all know I got a lot of money to pay off, but I'm slowly doing it on the side. And to Nikita's point, yes, because I don't have a savings, I wasn't able to quit and go back to school, starting my savings now. Thank you for the motivation and encouragement. Yes, girl, you got this. You can do it. You can do it. And I think what I always try to tell people, it's about what you do with your money, and you don't have to live like everybody else. So I will say this before like I let y'all go. So people think like, oh, it costs a lot of money to live in New York City. It does, objectively speaking, right? Now I live with my boyfriend, so fully transparent, we're splitting the rent. But before, and so it's a little bit less. I'm saving like $400. So let's use like all these years I lived by myself in my studio. I paid my rent and whatever by myself. My rent used to be $1,600. Wild, $1,666 to be exact. Wild amount of money, right? Tiny little place. Y'all used to see it. You could see everything. However, $1,666. I have 6-figure debt. Okay. I want to pay off my debt. How do I budget out and say like, all right, cool. Like, how much does life actually cost me if I cut out these other things? Like, I'm a lawyer. People expect a lawyer to look a certain way, a lawyer to like be like, somebody like that looks expensive. Well, I can't be expensive. I owe all this money and I want to pay off this money. My budget, my whole life cost me $2,500 a month. That is significantly lower than my friends. You don't have to do what other people are doing. And it's interesting, whenever I told that to people, they're like, what? Like, what are you eating? What are you buying? I'm like, I afford everything and it's fine. So it's possible, but you have to write it out. At first, I was like, well, I don't know where any of my money goes. I just spend money on foolishness, on eating out, eating $20 dumb salad, nonsense. So while it depends on your salary, of course, the more money you make, the easier life will be. Of course. I will never discredit that. Never do that. But if you have never done a budget, highly recommend you just write out. Just say like, all right, I'm going to track what I've been doing. Because if you realize like, oh, dang, maybe I have like a eating habit, AKA maybe I have a sushi habit. Child, the amount of money I've spent to support the Japanese sushi business in New York. Insane. You just kind of can cut it out. So I think the first thing to do is to just make the budget. Just see where you're at. And if you want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to talk about it as well. So, all right. So let me see what you guys are saying. Budget, savings, support. Hey, we can do that. I'm happy to like start going over that. All right. I like money stuff. I find to be really interesting, particularly somebody who was very honestly bad with money before I told myself I had to pay off my student loans. So, thank you, David. Honestly, I started getting my financial shit together because Stephanie's video lit a fire under my ass. Listen, you have to do it for yourself because people will be out here having you thinking that you have no money. But it's also like the majority, there are some people, yes, are living a very financially strapped life. Yes. A lot of people, though, are bamboozled into thinking they're financially strapped because all you see all day is ads on television that you need to buy all these things. And next thing you know, you spent all your money to Big Bezos and he went to the moon. So like you have to really assess for yourself, like, am I actually over here have no money, or do I actually have like $100 extra a month? Maybe, not everybody, but maybe you do have $100, $200, $300 extra a month and you don't know where it is. But if you write it out, it makes it a lot easier. And that helped me, to be honest, because I think I've said this before, but I didn't make six figures until 2019. So for my first job, my first full-time job as an attorney, I made $35,000. So yeah, I know what it's like to make nothing and sit there and have to budget it out and be like, all right, cool. I don't got any money. So like, how's this going to work? How's it going to work? $35,000 in New York after taxes is about 24 grand. It's $1,000 every paycheck. That was a rough life. But if you write it out, you can sit there and be like, all right, cool. But I do like my wine and I do like certain things. Like, how is this actually going to work? Did I live in my studio with the $2,000 a month? No, I didn't. I live with my grandma. Like, let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck. I'm not going to lie to you. But I did have one coworker that did. And like seeing his budget was wild. Seeing his budget was kind of wild. So I was like, wow. You know, he also didn't have kids. So there are a lot of factors. But I just think before you say, no, I can't do it, just but write out your budget and see where it is. See where it is. So yes. All right. Well, thank you guys. Rose, I have a video about is law school worth it? I think it's applicable to all types of schools. Highly recommend watching that video before you go. Before you spend your money on graduate school. Highly recommend just watching that video first. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see y'all next week. We're going to do next. Damon Dash decided that he was going to sue Jay-Z for the streaming rights of Reasonable Doubt. The two of them are going to continue to go at it, so I guess we're going to get a part 3. So I'm going to do that. I did look up Trump's big tech lawsuit, so we're going to do that as well. Patreon, I owe y'all America Part 2 this weekend, so that'll come out on Sunday. So lots of content. We are going to do all of that. So thank y'all. I appreciate all of you, and you guys have a wonderful evening. And don't touch the dirty people outside. Don't go next to them. Everybody is like so gross. All right. Thank you, Jace. All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.